Hello, my name is Ceren Oran. I'm a dancer, choreographer, and a sound painter based in Munich. So welcome to my home in Munich, Germany. This is my second video on sound painting for Canada's National Art Centre. And in this video, we are going to see some basic sound painting gestures and we will have the chance to practice them as a performer. So, if you remember, we were talking about the syntax before in the first video, which was including 4 gestures, 4 questions: who, what, how, and when. So the sound painter, in this case it will be me, is indicating the gestures with this order, and then the moment that I sign the play gesture, that I indicate the play gesture, you are going to respond today to my gestures. So, we saw in the previous video the long tone gesture, so let's try this all together. I will be now showing it first myself, as you would respond, and then I'm going to only sign, and then you can try it as well. So, for example, this is the gesture for whole group, the who gesture for whole group, and this is the gesture for you. So it is only requesting performance of only one performer. So in that case, if I sign, for example, you to myself, me, long tone, middle volume, and pa. Perfect. So now I'm going to sign it for you. Let's try it. Whole group, long tone. Perfect. The moment that I sign the off gesture, this is the second when gesture that we are learning today. First one is the play, and then second one is the off. The moment that I sign the off, you are stopping performing, basically. Now let's see how the how gesture, the who, the volume fader works. I show it again with myself. Let's try all together. Fantastic. The moment that I indicate higher volume, you go with the volume higher and with the volume lower. So, for example, it can happen that I hear sometimes, for example, that wouldn't be the correct response to the volume gesture because it only indicates the volume of the same long tone. So if I would like to work with the pitch of the long tone, then I have, of course, another gesture for that, another how gesture, which is the level. So, for example, if we try this gesture now all together, and I show it first, of course, with myself again. Fantastic. So let's try it together. Continue. This is the gesture for continue. So you are in this level and then you continue the long tone. Of course, you can breathe in and out. And then I go. So this is the only for the volume now. Fantastic. Great. There is another way that I can sign to change the long tone, for example, is the change. So if I sign long tone, so this is who, what, how, a very low pitch long tone, and when. Da, ti, Exactly. So this is the gesture. It's a what gesture in the what category of the syntax. It means to change. So you basically stay with the content of the long tone, but you can change a parameter in the long tone. It can be the level, the pitch of the long tone, it can be the volume, and it can be the texture of the long tone that you are performing. Let's try this. Fantastic, great. I can also share with you another two what gestures. For instance, air sounds. Any kind of wind and air sounds that you can create. If you're a woodwind player, you can also perform this gesture with your instrument using it as an extended techniques. So if we try this, I can show it again with myself. So who, me, what, an air sound, and how, low volume. Fantastic. Let's try with you. Great. Fantastic. This is an air sound and it's not the breath sounds. For breathing, I have another gesture. As I said in the first video, there are more than 1,200 gestures. So if the sound painter wants, we can very specifically sign what we really want. So in the air sounds, try to stick to the air sounds. Another gesture would be hits. And this is like a short tunes basically. So if I would again show it with myself, and in that one, I can show like me, 5 hits. Ba, 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 ba. Any kind of tune, any kind of pitch I can choose. The only thing what I have to perform is 5 hits. So let's try it with you. Very nice. So let me now make a composition and see how we are dealing with that. Now I'm gonna make a very small piece with all the gestures that we learned. But before that, maybe we can go through all the syntax and gestures that we saw in this video. So it would be the first one, who gestures we saw, whole group, and we saw you. And then we saw what gestures? Long tone, hits, change. And I think I signed also continue. This is also a what gesture. So long tone, hits, change, and continue. And the how gestures, we saw two feathers like level for indicate the pitch and volume to indicate the volume, the loudness of the tone. And then the when gestures we saw was play, the moment that you start to perform, and off, the moment that you stop performing. So let's try. Fantastic. Thank you so much for watching. This is just a little taste of what sound painting gestures look like. As I said, there are more than 1,200 gestures at the moment, and we can really go deep into the composition and into the language if we would have more time. But I hope you enjoyed this very short tryout of it. Of course, now you can also do this with your parents, with your students, with the people around you, and you would like to try. And please leave if you have any further questions. If you want to know more about it, please drop a message or a question or a comment below the video. In the next video, I would like to talk about the fundamentals of sound painting and actually what kind of projects would be possible to use sound painting, and the variety of the projects can be created by using the tool sound painting. And I'm hoping to see you on the third video as well. Have a lovely day.